These are 9 amazing niche fragrances to wear for spring. Now, like the designer version of this video I did a few days ago, I'm going to number them from 1 to 9, but they are in no particular order. Now, spring is an interesting season, an interesting time of year because it can be quite chilly. Like today, it's the 17th of April and it's about 8 degrees where I am, but also it could be about 20 degrees. So these 9 fragrances, I've got some for the cooler weather and some for the more warmer weather, but they're all amazing quality and they're great for this time of year. Starting off with a very niche brand, this is Profumo Roma. Now I'm probably going to absolutely butcher the pronunciation of this fragrance. This one is called ACQUA di Sale. This to me smells very marine and high quality. This smells like you're standing on a beach. You can smell the sea breeze air, you can smell the seaweed, you can smell the moss from the rocks, you can smell the sea salt, you can smell the chilly air that blows over the ocean. This smells really natural, very, very natural, and you could argue that this smells like a niche quality version or a higher quality version of something like Acqua di Gio Profumo. They don't smell exactly the same, of course, but if you could imagine a niche version of Acqua di Gio Profumo, you would get something like this. The performance of this fragrance is outstanding. For a fresh marine fragrance, it's great for the spring. This lasts a very long time. More of an obvious choice in at number 2, you could say this is HACIVAT by Nishani. Now, I'm sure you've heard many times this may be comparable to Creed Aventus. I don't really pick up that much Creed Aventus DNA in here, to be honest. It's not a fragrance I would compare to Creed Aventus because it goes in its own direction and it's nothing like a clone that you could smell of Creed Aventus. This is much greener and mossier. Think of like the smell of oak moss on the forest floor. That's what you get mainly when you smell HACIVAT, but the opening is pineapple. It's juicy, vibrant pineapple, similar to Creed Aventus. Now this is quite woody, it's green, but also with that beautiful, juicy, realistic pineapple opening. This is very strong, so like the first fragrance we looked at, this is a very strong fragrance, so you could even wear this in the colder weather because it really cuts through the cold air. A couple of years ago, I wore this to the gym, and the woman who was working in reception at the gym, she came to find me and I had my headphones on as I was working out. She tapped me on the shoulder and asked me what fragrance I was wearing because she said she could smell it everywhere. Now this is not a bullshit story like a lot of other YouTubers talk about when they say they got compliments. This is a genuine story that happened to me about 2 years ago with Nishani's HACIVAT. So this is great to wear in the spring, but mainly for the slightly chillier spring days. Number 3, now I told you we're going to have some very different fragrances in here. I told you we were going to have some fresher scents for the warmer weather, and I told you we're going to have some more colder weather fragrances. This one is ALTHAIR by Parfums de Marly. This is their second newest release, it looks like Perseus, doesn't it? But it's not, this is ALTHAIR. This is the airy vanilla spicy fragrance. It smells like gingerbread. This is wonderful. I am more and more impressed by this fragrance every time I wear it. And the reason why it's in this spring list is because I think the airy vanilla in here with the ambroxan and the spices make this a really good spring fragrance when it's not too warm yet. You could say this is a very good summertime evening fragrance, and that is when I'm going to wear this year. So spring daytime or summertime evening, this is going to work wonderful. This is spices like cinnamon, but it smells a bit like gingerbread, okay? But you also get this airy vanilla. So what I mean by airy vanilla, it's not a heavy, dense vanilla. It's effervescent and energetic. It's great to wear in the spring, but not when it's really warm. This is ALTHAIR by Parfums de Marly. Sad story about this next fragrance. This is Aqua Media Cologne Forte. The sad story is I can't wear it anymore because it's my girlfriend's favourite fragrance. Now, she wore this a few times when I just had it for myself, and it smelled really good on her and she loved it, performed really well. The sillage was amazing and she really wanted a bottle. She kept nicking my bottle, so I bought her her own bottle of this and now she wears it almost every day. So every time I smell this now, I'm just reminded of her. So I can't really wear this anymore, and I think I'm just going to enjoy this fragrance when my girlfriend wears it. But this is very underrated in my opinion and not spoken about as often as it deserves. This is a very strong, fresh fragrance. This is like a perfectly ripe, juicy lemon. If you had some lemon wedges in a bowl and you smelt them, this is kind of what you'd smell. But it also has this interesting matcha tea note, so it's quite green, but you get a tea note with this beautiful bergamot and lemon. This one projects an unbelievable amount. I get an amazing performance on this, and it's not just on my skin, because like I said, my girlfriend wears it, and it really leaves a massive scent trail. This one smells expensive and very very energizing. Now, I'm often reminded of imagination when I smell this, and that's because of the beautiful, juicy citrus opening. Now, you could argue that this is a slightly more feminine and floral version of Louis Vuitton's Imagination. This is MFK Aqua Media Cologne Forte. This one doesn't get anywhere near the amount of love it deserves. Number 5, a classy, timeless, elegant gentleman fragrance. This is VETIVER by ROJA Parfum. This is the cologne version. I've never tried the more expensive Parfum version, unfortunately, but I'm happy to own this because it is beautiful. VETIVER is a really hard fragrance note to get along with, and it's a very masculine fragrance note. You won't find VETIVER in many women's fragrances that I've experienced. It's very green and reminds you of like walking through a damp forest. It's quite rooty, so it smells quite woody and green at the same time, and for that reason it does come across quite masculine. VETIVER fragrances in general can be quite challenging to wear, and once you've smelt one, you'll know the smell of VETIVER as you smell other VETIVER fragrances. But this one is really well done because, like other VETIVER fragrances, it's not that challenging. So some VETIVER fragrances can be really challenging and difficult to wear, but this one smells smooth and elegant and expensive. That's because what ROJA has done with this is mix the VETIVER with some beautiful citruses, and then you've got guaiac wood in the base. The guaiac wood adds a smokiness to this and reminds me a tiny bit of Parfums de Marly's Barley, which is a fragrance not many people talk about. Not many people know it exists, I don't think. It's a heavy, woody, smoky VETIVER fragrance, but it's quite challenging and it's not that smooth. This one is a much better version because this is a much more citrusy and it just smells really elegant and easy to wear. This would make a great signature scent, but when it's quite nice outside, think like, you know, a nice spring morning, 15 degrees, it's Saturday morning, you've got the coffee machine on, you can have a nice relaxing day in the sun. This one puts you in a fantastic mood. This is ROJA VETIVER Cologne. Number 6, a fragrance that I haven't worn that much, to be honest with you. I'm going to wear it a lot more this year, I promise. This is Beach Hut by AMOUAGE. This is very green and minty. It's beautiful, it's quite strong, it's quite polarizing. I wouldn't think this would be a great office fragrance simply because of the strength of it, but it's not a challenging fragrance. I mean, AMOUAGE do typically make strong, challenging fragrances, but you get the AMOUAGE strength, but it's beautiful. It smells quite like green Irish tweed in a way, but it's stronger than green Irish tweed, and I think it's better. I think it's better value for money because you won't need many sprays with this, but it smells really natural and realistic. It smells like when you're in the English countryside and you're walking in the forest and you get the smell of the green leaves, you get the smell of the fresh air. It smells like that. It's absolutely beautiful. It says Beach Hut, which might make you think of the ocean or the beach. It doesn't make me think of that at all. It makes me think of the green English countryside. I think this is great to wear in the spring, and you could argue it's a good signature scent. I would just be a bit more careful wearing this because it has very good performance. AMOUAGE Beach Hut Man, another fragrance, a niche fragrance that's great for the spring. Down to the last 3, arguably the most affordable fragrance in this list. Actually, I think it is the most affordable fragrance. This is CEDRAT Boise, but intense. This is the intense version, extrait de parfum concentration. This one's a step up from the original CEDRAT Boise, and if I had the choice, if I had to do it again, I wouldn't buy the original CEDRAT Boise again. I would just buy this. Not because CEDRAT Boise is a bad fragrance, but this one, it just does everything a bit better. The sweetness is amped up, the fruitiness is amped up, and I just find this overall a more enjoyable fragrance. This is very fruity. You get blackcurrant in the opening with lots of citruses and spices. There is a spiciness to this, and there is a leather as well, but the leather is not strong. It's not a leather fragrance at all, so don't worry. It just has a bit of a backbone, so there's quite a lot of strength to this. It's not that fresh, it's more actually for the colder weather, I would say. It doesn't come across as a really fresh fragrance, and has got a good amount of sweetness in here as well. Now, the original CEDRAT Boise reminded people of Creed Aventus. This goes in a very different direction, and to be honest, has nothing to do with Aventus at all. It's sweet, it's spicy, but you still have the citruses in the opening, but the dry down becomes heavier with patchouli, with leather, and some sweetness. Now, the last 2 fragrances are from the same brand, XERJOFF. Number 8, this is XERJOFF Naxos. This is a fantastic fragrance, really hyped up fragrance, but well worth the hype. Now, the reason why I love this so much is because of the change, the transitional change this has from an aromatic opening of lavender and bergamot, really fresh, really natural smelling, beautiful, vibrant opening, and then the transition down to a tobacco and honey. The tobacco and honey are not too sweet or dense or synthetic. It all smells really natural, really clean and really vibrant. The opening of this is what makes it good for the spring and arguably summer evenings because it's still a bit fresh, it's still fresh and aromatic, and the dry down doesn't become too sweet or cloying. This is XERJOFF Naxos, and it is one of the best niche fragrances that you can buy. And the last fragrance of my top 9 niche fragrances for spring by XERJOFF, this is Join the Club 40 Knots. This is a wonderful fragrance and it's very, very strong and woody, very masculine as well. It doesn't come across unisex at all, this one. What's great about this, like some other fragrances that have been on this list, is that it is a fragrance that you can wear in the warmer weather because it is a marine-based salty fragrance, but it's very strong as well, so it really carries in the air and you get great performance. Now, a lot of summery fragrances, I was just looking at my collection to see if I can just pick something out straight away, but a lot of summery fresh fragrances don't last very long. Fragrances that are designed for the summer, typically, on my skin at least, just don't last very long. But this one has very good performance, really good ingredients, natural smelling, and the woodiness in here, the thick woody notes in here just last forever. I have actually had people notice me, like in my family, my girlfriend and her parents, for example, go around for dinner, have noticed me when I wear this and have always mentioned something. I've always asked me what I'm wearing because it does have this carry in the air, this sillage, this projection, and it's the saltiness mixed with the masculine woods that make this a really alluring fragrance. I think for the spring it's great. Cooler weather spring, sort of 10, 15 degrees, this is going to work absolutely great. You could say this would be a good signature scent. It smells really high quality, so if you've got a job working in a fancy office or something, this could work really well. This is XERJOFF 40 Knots. Now, these were 9 amazing niche fragrances to wear in the spring. Let me know out of these 9, which one would you pick? And what's your favourite niche fragrance for the spring? See you soon.